There is so much pressure to make money these days. The world we live in, the houses are $1 million, and that's a 50-year-old house that you have to reno before you even move in. Pickup trucks are 100,000, and our taxes are so high that we end up getting taxed on our taxes. Our wives are working full time, and our kids are in daycare. So then we feel the pressure to maximize our crane business. So what happens is we end up sacrificing our early mornings, our late evenings, our weekends, and mostly our peace just to allow the maximum amount of time to money making activities. My dad started the crane business with just one crane, a little 17-ton tip boom flat deck crane. I joined 2 years later in 2010, and back then you didn't even need to be certified to jump on a crane. So I just got my truck driving license, and away I went. What happened was we were still kind of slower back then in building the business. So we had to actually work in the summer and kind of the busy months as much as possible, and then save to get through the winter and then kind of repeat. We were just getting out of that 2008 recession, and that took a few years. And then once the economy picked up, all of a sudden, boom, we were swamped. And our solution was always get another operator, get another crane, and then that would free up our time. So we were kind of in building mode back then, but we didn't realize that 5, 10, 15 years down the line, we were going to hit these tsunamis coming for us in the business that was going to take us out with just being so busy. We ended up creating this monster that we couldn't keep up with because we had so many customers by then. And we were just doing what we were made to do, is just kind of work hard and get customers and service those customers, and kind of word of mouth kind of took off, right? What happened was I ended up, a few years ago, about 5 years ago, I ended up in the hospital with major chest pains just because I was so stressed. When you're, my dad's the owner, but I was the manager. And there's no kind of like just taking a day off and resting because, things have to get done in the business. The doctor ended up giving me the best consulting advice I've ever gotten. And that was, hey, you need to change your business. If it's causing you this much stress when you're 30 years old, something's got to change. That's when I went back to my business and kind of looked at it and like, well, there's obviously other crane companies that do it better, that, got way more cranes than us, way more employees, and way more high functioning. So we're doing something wrong. And I had to look at myself, my dad, and the culture that we had created, and start to learn how to run a business that's functional, that actually works for us. And I'll talk about these kind of three main pillars. And the first one is our control center that we've made, the dispatching app. And that's kind of like the spine of our company. The second one is systems that we can, basically systemize our entire business, everything that we do, and document it and all the steps. So we're not missing steps, and we're efficient because we can refer back to those and then give it to our employees to delegate. And then also automating our business. We didn't even realize it, but we send the same text, the same emails to, as far as billing and quoting and job descriptions every day. And writing those out, takes 30 seconds to 5 minutes, depending on the details, right? But automating our texts and emails with a click of a button saved us hours every week in just the day-to-day tedious tasks. The control center, or the dispatching app, is the backbone of our business. It is the structure that allows us to grow. So everything that we do, all the systems, all the automation comes back to the control center. So you have the owner, you have the office dispatcher, and some of the managers controlling this app. And then that way they're all on the same page. And then everything that's in their head is documented, whether it's the training that's on there or just the job scheduling, the day-to-day tasks is delegated through this control center and then out to your operators. As a result of getting a dispatching app, we actually found out that we got a lot of younger operators and kind of like the highly desired, kind of a few years in, or 5, 10 years experience, but still kind of in their early 30s, they were now more attracted to our business. So if you think about it, all these young guys are using apps to be more efficient in their personal lives, right? So before our control center, we had a job scheduling book and we were texting or the picture of their messy handwriting to the operator to save time. Details are getting missed or couldn't read them and kind of check them late at night and it's just a disaster. Or we'd sit there for 10 minutes or half an hour texting each operator all their details and it's just super inefficient. So it's almost like when these operators that the younger guys come into our business is like going back in time, right? Doing things backwards and they just kind of it just rubbed them the wrong way. So another great benefit is when the operators and the employees can see the systems and the standard operating procedures and what's expected of them on their app, and they can refer back to that without calling the owner. It takes off a lot of responsibilities and a lot of like the classic like guy in the fridge, hey, I can't find something, or it's like I can't do something. It takes away those phone calls, which is awesome because they're just so unnecessary. And in order to get rid of those, you have to have the training and everything out of the owner's head because he's the bottleneck onto documents and out to your employees. Systemizing our business was the second most important thing that we did. We should have done this at the beginning. It's best to do it when you first start your business and kind of work on them as you grow your business. But we had to play catch up because we just didn't know much about systems or it was just one of our blind spots. So systemizing is getting everything out of the owner's head, putting it on paper so that you can delegate and train and get the same results repeatedly without missing steps. So one of the biggest systems, or just an example of the system, is like we're right beside the coast, so we have to take ferries, cross the ocean to go to some of the islands. So it used to be this whole 4 hour ordeal because we didn't do it very often, maybe once every, 6 months. And by that time, the 6 months kind of passed, we would kind of forget all the steps, right? And then we would have to be like, okay, what is our BC Ferries account number? Where did we put that? What is the clearance height? What's the weight of our vehicles? What's the width? What's the width of the load? How long is the trailer and the length of our load? And, where's the visa number again, right? So we put all of this information down in a system, a step-by-step simple system that we can have our office guy, or if even we're sick, we could hand it. It's so simple to a random person and they can book us a crane on a ferry for us. You want them to be as simple as possible and you want to start with the ones that are going to be used the most. So we used to actually lose a lot of money with even just sending an operator out to go measure the machines, the clearance and the heights and the lengths, instead of just taking a half an hour sitting down and writing that system because we're going to be taking ferries for years to come, right? So that 4 hour ordeal that we used to dread is now a 15-minute structured system that we just work through and we know which website, which boxes to click and what information that we need to continue. It's now a lot of stress and anything that is repeatedly done is now repeatedly done with a certain standard. Automating is another big feature that saved us a ton of time. So we didn't realize it, but we were sending the exact same texts, the exact same emails over and over and over and over again. And the crane industry is not one that it's not very forgiving where, when you're on the crane and you're kind of texting and taking 30 seconds, it's high pressure and you're trying to just send it off as quickly as possible. Some texts you can't do in 30 seconds. It's a 5 minutes, think them through. You need all the details as much because that customer that called you is sitting waiting for your quote or your text or your email so that they can continue on with their days. That is a huge game changer, automating your text. So we automate our quotes, our job scheduling, and we actually train our customers to keep up with our efficiency, that they don't hold us back. Because if a customer is sending us 10 different texts for one job over a week, it kills us, right? So we just say, hey, here's our premeditated template that we want for job descriptions. And if you could send us all of that at once, then we can copy and paste it into our job descriptions on our control center app. Same with billing, invoicing, job inspections. It's all the same texts and emails that you send out to customers. And then if you can just do that at a click of a button and have every detail that you need, and then you're not forgetting, details that you need from these guys, then the job goes way faster, and it literally saves you hours and saves you kind of looking bad, especially if you're an owner operator on the crane and with the phones, right? Once I started to run efficiently, I actually had the time to look at my business and work on my business. I spend 5 to 10 hours every week looking at my business and seeing how I can improve it. What ended up happening is we started to delegate the work out. We only do the $100 an hour plus jobs. Anything below that, we don't do anymore. We've delegated the billing and the dispatching, the greasing of the cranes, the scrapping of the AC units to and paying guys to do that so that we can do more high ticket items. And as a result, we started to scale way faster. And another thing that we did was we changed the culture of our business, right? We changed to more of a safety culture, that we attracted operators that actually cared about that. We looked at our cranes. What kind of cranes are we looking to buy in the future to attract those higher quality guys that want to run those cranes? And then what industries are doing good in recessions, and what are not doing so good, and what industries are slowing down this year, and how do we navigate into sales and marketing ourselves to continue a long term kind of trajectory uphill, right? So the crane business is such an unforgiving business. You work long days, you never know when you're going to be off. And then when you do get off, you got to check out why the engine light is on. You got to do all your invoicing, your billing, your quotes, and send out all those emails to your customers as soon as possible. The crane business can take up, 70 hours a week, even though you only have 2 or 3 cranes. So that's why I'm noticing a major exit in the crane industry of guys that are close to retirement. They're just saying, you know what, I'm done with the workforce. I'm done with all this safety stuff. I wasn't like that back in the day, so I'm out. And then what you have left is, young guys like us that we have to actually figure it out. We got 20 to 40 years left in the crane industry. We need to change with the times. We need to get on these apps and change and modernize our businesses. If you're a crane business owner and you want to take control back of your business and make it more efficient and way more profitable, or if you're new to the industry and you have 1 or 2 trucks and you want to expand and scale and get more cranes and more operators, send me a message and I can give you the blueprint of my successful, modern, and efficient crane company and all my training and all my systems, and I can give it to you if you just send me a DM on Instagram saying blueprint. Our family business now is debt free. We run at 43 to 45% profit margins. We'll get started on our one-on-one coaching journey and get your business to be a more streamlined, efficient, and profitable machine.